Okay, so episode 307, downsizing in retirement. I have our guest is Carly Tizzano. Let me tell you a little bit about her and her company. Carly Tizzano is the owner of Masterpiece Organizing, based out of Kitsap County, Washington. Masterpiece Organizing is a full-service organizing company offering in-home organizing, personal assistant services, virtual organizing, and coaching. And she and her team help their clients to simplify and organize their lives, creating more space and time for them to live the life they want. Carly Tizzano, welcome to Sound Retirement Radio.
Hi, thanks so much for having me today.
So what did you think about my joke this morning?
I thought it was great,
I'll let
especially
you know.
in this time of ordering off of Amazon.
Yeah. Oh, man. Which comes first? Okay. So this topic, I thought this was really timely for a couple of reasons, Carly. I was trying to think, what should we call this? I was thinking, should we call it spring cleaning? Should we call it downsizing? And I know a lot of the folks we serve, one of the things that they're thinking about in retirement is selling the big house that they raised the family in and moving into a smaller place with less maintenance. And sometimes that even means having two homes in retirement. But this is something you specialize in. This is something that you do. You help people with organizing. So I want to start out just by understanding, how in the world did you get into this?
Absolutely. Well, it kind of happened that as soon as I realized that professional organizing was a career and organizing was something that people could do and get paid to do it, I knew immediately that that's what I wanted to do. I was actually in my last year of college, and I kind of forced myself to finish and not start thinking about starting my business, because I knew as soon as I did, then I would be all in on that, and that would be all I wanted to think about and all I wanted to do. So I got my degree, and then pretty much immediately after that, I started working on building Masterpiece Organizing into everything it is today. And professional organizing is kind of a career that's, and even people don't really realize it's something that they can hire someone to do. It's kind of just coming into the forefront thanks to people like Marie Kondo. And so it's really cool to kind of be here at the forefront of this new emerging movement, and to be able to help people to declutter and to simplify their lives, which is something that has really garnered a lot of media attention. It's something that a lot of people are realizing that they want to do.
Yeah, that's cool. So I don't know Marie Kondo. But I'm sure it sounds like she's somebody you follow. Who are some of the other resources or people that you enjoy learning from in this space?
Sure. Well, Marie Kondo is kind of, she was really the first one, I would say. She wrote the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And since then, she's kind of built her huge empire through other books and a Netflix series. And there's another group called The Home Edit. And they have a very distinctive style. They work with a lot of celebrities. And so they've come out and written their own books. And they have a Netflix TV show that's going to be coming out here pretty soon. And then there's groups like Life in General and Quarterly, that they have groups kind of all over the country, or they travel, because they just have such beautiful styles. And everyone kind of does it their own unique way. And so once people see what they like, then they're willing to pay to have those people come to their house, because they want their house to look that specific way. And so there's really a lot of people out there, and the more digging you do, almost every town now is going to have a professional organizer within a couple of miles, I think.
Wow. And so what does it mean? I mean, if I were to hire you to be a professional organizer, come into my house, what would be the steps that you would take? How would we get started?
Absolutely. Well, every organizer does it a little bit differently, and every organizer kind of has clients involved to a varying degree in the process, but they kind of follow the exact same structure. So first, what they're going to do is they're going to come in and assess the space and then take everything out. So as we're taking everything out, we're going to sort it into categories. So if we're organizing, let's say, a pantry, then we're going to sort things into maybe stuff you'd use to make dinner, stuff you'd use to make breakfasts, some stuff that you would use in baking, like your canned goods. And so we'd sort things out into these specific sections. And then if we're doing a pantry, then the next step is to go through and to kind of declutter those little areas. So in a pantry, you're not going to have too much stuff that you're going to say, well, I don't really use this anymore, or it doesn't fit, or I don't like how this looks on me. You're going to be going through it more with the mindset of which of these things are expired, or maybe I tried one of these packages and I didn't actually like it, so I'm not going to use the rest. I could maybe donate it. So that's kind of the mindset for going through something like a pantry. If you're going through something like a closet, then it would just be, do I use it? Do I need it? Do I like it? When was the last time I wore it? Kind of mindset such as that. And so once you've gone through and you've determined which things you really love, or which things are really serving you, or which things you're really going to eat, then you can kind of start the real organizing process and figuring out putting things where and how it's all going to work best in your life and for your routines. And then that's also when we containerize things. So putting like things together so that you know exactly where to go to find what you need. And also that kind of creates boundaries for what you have. So you're not going to have your canned goods spilling all across the shelf because you have this certain can riser and you know that you really should only buy as many cans as are going to fit there because you don't want it to spill out over into everything else and kind of mess up the rest of your organization system. And then the last step is really to figure out the systems and routines that go along with maintaining that. So part of that is recognizing that, well, I can only buy so many cans. And of course, you're going to set up the system so that when you normally come home with 12 cans, then you know it's going to work perfectly. So you have to kind of reverse organize and forward organize with keeping in mind your routines and habits, what you normally do. So making sure it's really functional for you, and also setting up routines and structures so that you can maintain it going forward.
Boy, I love this. We moved into a new house last year, and moving in and of itself forces you to address stuff that just kind of gets shoved into a drawer or set aside, or clothes you haven't worn forever. And boy, there's something really freeing about, and we had lived in our last house for about 13 years. So in a matter of 13 years, you can imagine, we had 2 kids during that period of time, and we just, we gathered up a lot of stuff. Is it hard though, when you go in to do this for somebody else and you're, let's say you're helping them clean out their closet, because people have an emotional attachment to certain things. So do they have to be involved in that process to say, what are we going to keep or what are we going to get rid of? Or do they just say, hey, how do you do that?
Well, for a lot of the determining of, especially more of those sentimental items like clothes or photos, that's really when the clients do have to be involved, because they're the only ones who know what this one sweater meant to them, or that these were the pictures from their trip to Hawaii 10 years ago that they really want to keep because that was such a great trip. The majority of the rest of the process can be handled independently of the client. Some clients really want to be involved because they want to see how it all works. And then they maybe want to take the skills that they learn and apply it to other areas of their home. But they don't necessarily have to be involved in that, all the rest of that. But what the clients really do have to do is, unfortunately, kind of the hard part of making those decisions of what needs to stay and what can go. Less so when it's something like a pantry and you're just kind of tossing the expired goods. But when you come to things like closets, or especially stuff like attics or basements, where kind of that important but less vital stuff gets packed away, that's really when, unfortunately, the clients have to come in and make those hard decisions. Yeah,
and it does. And I'll tell you, from walking life with family members that downsize, or kind of forced into downsizing as life changes, it gets harder and harder for people to get rid of stuff. And weird stuff. I was helping a family member recently, and I was going through their storage unit, and we were just trying to figure out what needed to really stay and what needed to go. And I opened up this container, and it was a bunch of old dish towels. And they were all folded, washed and folded nice. But I'm thinking to myself, we've got a whole container here full of dish towels. What in the world are we paying to have this in storage for? Just kind of crazy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we see that kind of stuff all the time. And I mean, sometimes those dish towels have great significance and are very important, and a lot of the times they're not as important.
They're just dish
passed
towels.
Along.
My daughter, the other day, we went and did a Costco run, and my daughter decided to clean out the pantry. And she did exactly what you're talking about. She pulled everything out. She put it all back in, and it was amazing how organized it was. And I was thinking, we all have so much time to be at home right now. Many of us are in shelter in place. My wife said, my wife's an artist. She says she's not calling it shelter in place. She's calling it artist in residency. And so...
Oh, I love that.
So, but we're at this time where there's certain things that are out of our control. But sometimes I've found that by organizing things, it helps us have a sense of control. And even my kids' bedrooms right now look better than they've looked in years. Do you find that there's some emotional healing, something that is good, that's positive, that comes out of going through the process of just getting your life organized?
Oh, absolutely. And so many kind of dimensions and dynamics. Part of it is kind of letting go of those things that we may not even cognitively recognize are kind of holding us back and holding us down. One kind of rule of thumb that I like to live by is, if you think about getting rid of something 3 times, then you already should have gotten rid of